The humidity in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, didn't just sit on you, it tried to drown you. For Earl Tubbs, a man whose greatest life achievement was maintaining a C average in high school and a steady job at the local tractor supply, the heat was just another thing he couldn't control. Then he found Nina. Nina was a 9mm semi-automatic with a matte black finish that looked like it absorbed light rather than reflecting it. She was tucked inside a moldy shoebox behind a stack of rusted hubcaps in Earl's late uncle's garage. Earl didn't know much about guns, but as soon as his palm hit the grip, a voice vibrated directly into his cerebral cortex. It didn't sound like a ghost or a god. It sounded like she was standing in line at the DMV and was incredibly annoyed about it. Lord, have mercy. Look at these cuticles, Earl. Have you ever heard of lotion? Or are we going for that dried-out lizard aesthetic today? Earl dropped the gun. It clattered against the concrete. Who said that? He wheezed, spinning around. Down here, genius. And don't you ever drop me like that again. I've got internal components more sensitive than your feelings after a breakup. Pick me up. We got things to do. The first spark. Earl picked her up with 2 fingers, trembling. You're talking. I'm communicating, Earl. There's a difference. I'm Nina. And you look like a man who's tired of being the human equivalent of a participation trophy. How's that assistant manager interview go yesterday? Earl winced. They gave it to Miller. Miller, the guy who looks like he's made of mayonnaise. Oh, hell no. See, that's your problem. You're walking around like a please and thank you kind of guy. I'm a give it to me or I'll renovate your ribcage kind of girl. We need to change your energy. Earl tucked Nina into his waistband. He felt a strange, cold heat spreading from the metal into his hip. I'm not a violent man, Nina. You aren't a man at all yet, honey. You're a placeholder, but keep me close. Power isn't something people give you, it's something you take while they're busy crying about it. The escalation. The corruption started small, the way a fire starts with a single, dry leaf. Earl was at the local quick stop. A teenager in a lifted truck had parked across 2 spots, forcing Earl to park in the dirt by the dumpsters. Usually, Earl would sigh, walk inside, and buy his lukewarm coffee in silence. You gonna let Cletus the slack-jawed yokel do you like that? Nina's voice was a sharp rasp in his ear. That truck is screaming, I have a small personality. Go over there and tell him to move it. He's twice my size, Nina. And I'm a marvel of ballistic engineering. I'm the equalizer. You aren't small when you're carrying me. You're a giant with a safety switch. Just pat your hip. Let him see the outline. Watch how fast his tough guy routine turns into a Broadway musical. Earl did it. He walked up, squared his shoulders, and let his shirt lift just enough. The teenager looked at Earl, looked at the black grip peeking out, and his face turned the color of spoiled milk. He moved the truck. Earl felt a rush of dopamine, so intense it made his teeth ache. See that? Nina chuckled, a sound like gravel in a blender. That's respect, or fear. Same thing in Oklahoma, feels good, don't it? Like a warm hug from the devil. The taste of absolute power. By the end of the week, Earl wasn't just standing taller, he was looking for reasons to be offended. Nina was a constant narrator, a cynical coach pushing him toward the edge. Why are we waiting in this line at the bank, Earl? Look at that teller. She's moving like she's underwater. You know what would speed this up? A little negotiation. Just imagine it. Everyone on the floor, you behind the glass, grabbing what's yours. It's not stealing if the system is rigged against you anyway. It's just an unscheduled withdrawal. I can't rob a bank, Nina. That's crazy. Is it? Or is it crazy to work 40 years for a pension that won't cover your hip replacement? You got the power now, Earl. You're the king of Okmulgee as long as I'm in your belt. Why be a king of a trailer park when you could be a king with a getaway car? Earl looked at the security guard. Usually the guard was an intimidating figure of authority. Now, Earl just saw a target, a slow, fleshy obstacle. The moral rot was set. Nina's voice began to override Earl's own conscience. He started seeing people not as humans, but as variables in an equation where Nina was always the solution. The breaking point. The climax happened on a Tuesday. Earl went back to the Tractor Supply. He walked straight into Miller's new office, the office that should have been his. "Look at him," Nina hissed. "Sitting in your chair, drinking out of a world's best boss mug he bought for himself. It's offensive, Earl. It's a crime against nature. Correct the mistake." "I just want to talk to him," Earl whispered. "Talk is for people who don't have 15 rounds of hollow point persuasion. Pull me out. Let's see if Miller is still management material when he's staring down the business end of a bad attitude." Earl pulled Nina out. The weight felt different now, heavier but right. "Earl, what are you doing?" Miller stammered, backing his chair into the wall. "He's asking questions, Earl. I hate questions. Tell him the interview process is officially reopened." Earl leveled the gun. In that moment, he felt like a god. He held life and death in a 3-pound piece of hardware. He realized Nina was right. Absolute power didn't just corrupt, it simplified. There were no more nuances, no more no's, no more waiting. There was only the trigger. "I'm the boss now," Earl said, his voice cold. "That's my man," Nina cheered. "Now let's make a mess. I've been itching to go bang all morning." The moral of the story. As the sirens began to wail in the distance, Earl stood over the chaos he'd created. The power had been intoxicating, a blinding light that had burned away his humanity until there was nothing left but the cold, black metal in his hand. He looked down at Nina. "Phew, that was a workout," she said, sounding satisfied. "But hey, look on the bright side, Earl. You won't have to worry about the heat in prison. It's all concrete and shade. And don't worry, I'll be in the evidence locker telling the Glock next to me all about how you finally grew a pair." Earl realized too late that Nina didn't care about his success or his respect. She was an instrument of chaos, and he was just the finger she used to pull herself. Absolute power hadn't made Earl a king, it had made him a tool.